Good morning. Boy, Dussault Senior here this morning. It's going to be part 2 of hopefully the resurrection of this 12-string guitar with a brandy new bridge on it and a bridge doctor to help prevent the occurrence from happening again. But just as an aside, before I get into the project and show you where I'm at, I'm going to show a little trick that I've learned, and if you've been on YouTube, you've probably seen this, but just in case you missed it, if I can get this super glue to work here this morning. And let's see if we got a little bit better luck. Alright, well anyways, the trick is just put a little bead on masking tape. You put a piece of masking tape on whatever you want to use for a sanding block, and I'll show you a couple of the ones that I have after. And you just let a little bitty bead of super glue on there, and then you use masking tape on the back side of a piece of sandpaper, and then you mate the two. Oh, hopefully like this. Alright, press it together like you would with any time you use super glue. Alright, and you say, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is, if it's a block you want to reuse and your sandpaper's worn out, this allows you to peel this paper off when it's dried up, after you're done. And when the paper's worn out, the masking tape will be the weakest point and will pull away. But in between time, you have yourself a nice sanding block. And just to show you here, I'll bring, this is a 12-inch stainless steel rule that I put a piece of sandpaper on, and it allows me to put a little bit of a bend in it when I want to work in a place getting close to something. Here's one, a 4-sided one. Whoops, let's get under the camera. I think we're there. We got 320, I got 100, 150, and I think there's some 220 on there, which I'm going to be using to work on the instrument here. So that's where we're at the moment. That's my aside for the day. Quickie little tricky that works, and this works on quite a few other things that you want to use it on. I've used it on to make one for sanding curves and everything else. And I'm going to step out of the camera here. All you see is my hands anyway. But I'm going to go and get some sandpaper that I've been using that I kind of like. I think it's made by the 3M company. And for what I do on guitars, I don't know if other folks like using it, but it's flexible. It goes around curves if you want to sand around a curve with it. It stands up real good. I also glue it, use it to glue it on here. A couple of these pieces are made with this flexible stuff. I find it works for me better than regular sandpaper for the most part. But that's just me, so that's just to let you know what I've been using for sandpaper. And if you're doing small project, boy, I think it really is great to get into nooks and crannies. You can really work well with it. So I'm going to shut off the camera for a minute here and then get things put away and get ready to show you where we're at on this 12-string. Checking out for the moment. Okay, I'm back on part 2 of this operation again here. I've been building this up. I used very fine wood dust and super glue, and in some of the places I put wax paper down. I have flattened it down, so I kind of molded it to the surface. And I'm about to the phase where I got to start sanding it to where I can see a nice sanding mark all the way across, and we get these ridges down. And they're coming. I'm sure I'm going to have to do a little bit more filling with the super glue to get it the way I want it. But I just thought I'd let you know. And this is the tools that I'm using on it. Try to stay, as they say, within the lines. You can see the low spots where it misses. So I know where I have to come up with it a little bit. So this is going to take quite a while. I've had to ream the holes out every once in a while as the filler gets in, just to keep the shape of them. But so far so good, and I think we'll just turn off the camera for a little bit and I'll do some more sanding and cussing and see how much closer we can get to building a bridge for this, which is going to be interesting. Checking out for the moment. Okay, I'm back for a moment here. I did a good rough sanding on this and saved everybody the boredom of watching it. I have just wet out the top again with the super glue. I'm going to let it dry another time. I'm going to sand it down again and see how it looks and see if I can get a nice pattern all the way across, smooth up to the edges. And then hopefully we can press on from there, but that's where we're at. Now I got to let this sit and dry and go off onto something else. It takes longer to dry if it's not covered by something. So, you know, super glue works nice on stuff like that. As soon as you stick it together, well, it cures quick. Not quite so fast this way, especially when you put it on a little heavy. So I'm just going to let it set. I'm going to sand 99.9%. It'll be probably sanded back off again. So just to let you know where we're at on that end of it, and I'm going to start thinking about making a bridge for this thing. Say goodbye for the moment. Okay, checking back in for a couple minutes, well, maybe a minute or two. I have sanded this down one more time, which took about 45 minutes or so to get it down, maybe a little less. And I've added another coat here. Hopefully this is going to be the top coat when this dries, which like I said, it dries a heck of a lot longer if it's exposed. And I'm putting it on quite thick. Normally if I was doing this in some areas I'd put it on a little bit thinner, but I'm using, hopefully acting like a little bit of a filler here so we can get evened up. And I've also started on the bridge. I just got that, starting to rough that out. So we're making some progress here. But, I can give you the beginnings of it. We have it here, which I use. I have cut the slot out, which came out quite nice. The bone fits right in there real nice. And I will use this one most likely for the alignment holes because this one is correct for this guitar. And I use the other one, the dark brown one that we had here a couple minutes ago, which has wandered off. Oh, just hide over the corner. This fella here is what I use to cut the holes out. And normally what I do is, it's an old trick that we used to use, and the sheet metal people use it a lot. I don't have a jig to cut this out with a router blade, so what I do is I use this piece, the pattern, to find the end blocks to get the proper slant. Okay, there's a slant cut in there. And drill two ends, and then I draw a line and I chain drill it all the way across. And then use the jigsaw to rough it out. And then I set it up and I just square it up and it comes out pretty good. The piece fits in there nice. This will eventually have a curve in here, and as you can see, it's going to be a little bit larger than what we have on there now, hopefully to cover up all the sins of the past here, if everything works right. So I just thought I'd bring you up and keep moving on part of number 2 part of this project, the second portion of this project. And we're still moving along, got a ways to go, so I'm going to check out and go have myself some lunch. Yeah, Lloyd Dussault Sr., I'm back for a few minutes. We did some more work on the guitar today, the 12 string, and this is also part of number 2. I'm going to hopefully make a little bit of magic here. I'm going to see if we can't get this piece of oak to turn black, or at least darken it up some. I'm using a mixture of white vinegar and steel wool. And let's see if the tannic acid doesn't turn this wood a little bit darker. It's like magic right before your eyes, I tell you. Now, some of the guitars you've seen that I built that are black, that's the process that I've used, is what you see right here. You don't look too black right now, but hopefully it's going to darken up. So that is a coat of tannic acid here. I didn't say a coat of tannic acid, a coat of stain. It will hopefully, and you can see how it works even on the bottom, so turns it black. So we're going to let this set, and we'll see how it develops. I may use another coat on there, get it a little darker, we'll see. But Dew Salt Senior checking out again. Just thought I'd give you a quickie on this one. It's going to take a little work. This little bridge took quite a few hours, and one piece that I'm not going to be able to use for this, because I thought I had my holes lined up beautiful for the guitar, and when I set it on there, it wouldn't go so beautiful. It's not to mean that this one isn't a good one. If I build another 12 string, this one right here will be fine in it if you're drilling the holes for the guitar, but when the holes are already drilled, you can't very well move them. So we had to do it again, and I figured it out. And what I actually did is I laid a couple layers of masking tape over the holes, set it all up so I could mark it up good, and literally punched the holes through, took the masking tape off and set it on this, so I had a spot to drill, and by golly, it came out pretty close. So that's it for today, and Lloyd Dew Salt Senior checking out one more time.